Okay, so welcome to the new video. As we were supposed to run up with the n8n automations in real life. So in the last few videos where we were learning how to install n8n, what is n8n and how are the different ways how we can deploy our n8n. Today we are going to start off with creating the real life automations. So the last automation which we were making out of practice, that was a template kind of workflow where we were just testing how workflows actually work, how things actually move from one box to the other box and give you an output. Today we will make their real life applications, like using it with WhatsApp, using it with Instagram, using it with Facebook. The use cases would be automatic replies to your consumers, customers or people, automatic uploads on your Facebook, Instagram, automatic comments on your Facebook, Instagram, and a lot more possibilities. But before we start, we were just discussing about how all of the advantages and disadvantages of having your n8n being deployed on a Docker or on cloud or on your VPS. So in all of these cases, the best case which stood out was using it on the VPS, as all of the data remain private with you. But just in case, if you're not using the VPS version, what would be the next best alternative? So the next best alternative would be using n8n on cloud. There's one good thing and there's one bad thing about it. The good thing being you have unlimited resources to run over. There are multiple packages, $20 and above, where you can have multiple executions happening right at the same moment. What are executions and what are multiple executions? We will understand that today by the end of the class. Before that, I would also like to tell you what is one of the biggest disadvantages of having your n8n deployed on cloud is you will always need to share all of your files with them. And how would you say that they would read it or not? So they would not read it in particular. But then before we move, I would also like to tell you about the disadvantage. There might be a lot, but I see one clear disadvantage is giving my files access to n8n. Since all of these files that we will be using on n8n as tools, they should all be publicly hosted. I know publicly hosted would be a new word for you, but before we move on to create real life automations, I will explain certain new words that are going to be very, very useful whenever we are working with n8n. And for the third option, the last option, right, as we started off with, and the third one, the desktop deployment. Now, how good is the desktop deployment? Desktop deployment is very, very useful for you to test and practice. It's just deployed on your Docker. It is always available on your laptop. You can just open it, make your practice flows, make sure that everything is working properly. As soon as a workflow gets 100% result, now you can just take it and move it to your self-hosted n8n, be on your VPS or be it on the n8n cloud. So moving on to the next part, which is the most important part of today, where we will be learning new terms and their explanations. So what are these new terms? The first new term which you see on the screen is encrypted storage of API keys. Now encrypted, everybody knows. You see, whenever you use in WhatsApp, in a new chat, it's always written WhatsApp is n8n encrypted. What is encrypted? Encrypted basically means it is locked. It means not everybody can watch it. And what is API keys? API keys are actually the keys by which API keys are actually the keys by which one app talks to a different app or one website talks to a different website. To keep it very, very, very simple and layman, it is just like a key of a car which you have, which is private to you, just like your private car. And now you can use this car to go from WhatsApp to Google Sheets and then come back to WhatsApp and just keep moving around. So at all of these points, you will need an entry identity. That entry identity is your API key. So my API key, your API key, their API key, his API key will be different and will be confidential. This is much more important than saving your passwords today. So whenever you are there on any of the platforms trying to generate your API key or your access token, the access token is the next word which we will discuss. So whenever you are out there taking out these details, you have to be 100% sure that these information 100% private to you to prevent any kind of misuse. So now the next, as we were moving up, we were talking about the access tokens, auth tokens, auth2 tokens. What are these? These are pretty much like the API keys, but even more solidified, even more secure, and runs with different information running parallel to each other. Now what happens? What is an authorization token and what is auth2 token? What is a basic authorization token and what is a header based token? These core terms may seem very heavy, but it is very, very easy to get. It all belongs to one single tab, which is called credentials. Now, whether you want these keys from Facebook, whether you want these keys for your Instagram, for your WhatsApp, for your Google account, wherever you go, all of these terms will fall under just one category called credentials. To avoid any confusions, we will not go through these words right now. We will catch these words as we get hold of them in the working workflow itself, so that it is more easier to understand them with real life examples and extraction. Before we would start off with the workflows, you will get definitive videos about credentials creation on all of these platforms, where major platforms will be given more light upon, like Google, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. You will get a video which defines all of these credentials, because these take a little time and is a little more tedious job to do, because AI won't be helping you in this. These terms, these keys will be actually helping the AI, and mostly, so all of these keys and authorization tokens and bearer tokens, whatever we see, are usually generated in a temporary token manner, which can be easily converted into permanent tokens, so that all of this tedious work just happens once and stays with you forever once you save the keys securely with you. Once again, I would like to repeat that all of these tokens, these keys, are 100% private and can be misused. So whenever we are generating them, we have to keep them very, very, very private. So now, coming up to creating the real life automations. By the end of this video, we will help you create a real life automation where you would be chatting with your AI agent on WhatsApp. Maybe asking it about your business, asking it about your sales, asking about your purchases, doing a data analysis, taking appointments, multiple cases. Just like the last video, as I told you, it is all about what you can think. Possibilities are unlimited. So by the end of this video today, if you're there, you would be able to deploy a real life WhatsApp bot. Before we start, I would like you to be introduced to certain basic nodes on n8n, which we will be using throughout all our workflow creations. So as you can see on the screen, we have certain workflow automation nodes out here written by the names. As you can see in the first one, we have the trigger nodes, webhooks, schedules, or app events. So what are these? Webhooks and schedules or app events. Webhooks we will catch in the end before starting up with the workflow, because the workflow which I will be explaining, I will start explaining it through a webhook itself. For schedules and app event schedule is nothing but setting a day or a time for the automation to run up automatically so that you don't have to go manually and click a button out there. A scheduling could be like every day at 3 p.m. So every day at 3 p.m. the automation will trigger its birth. So every day at 3 p.m. the workflow will trigger itself. If you have a schedule trigger set on app events, we will also do this in a real life example right now, as I will be explaining these nodes on the real workflow. What is an app event? App event is basically certain events that is happening on an app and that should cause the trigger to take place. A pretty much very easy example would be updating of a row on Google Sheet. Supposedly, a new row was added to a Google Sheet by you and that should trigger the workflow. Pretty much like, to explain it to you in a very layman manner, say you have a sheet, a Google Sheet, where you have name, phone number and status. If you write the name and the phone number and press enter, that creates an event. An event, as soon as the row was updated, the workflow is supposed to start. So that is where we were talking about the app events trigger. Now the next triggers which you can see is the logic triggers. The first logic trigger which comes to your head as soon as we are talking about logic is if. Agar ye na hota to wo hota. If this, okay, if not, then this. So this if node helps your workflow choose between two paths. If a yes, then go up. If a no, go down. If status is done, go up. If status is pending, go down. So that is where if nodes come in. What about merge nodes? Merge nodes are those logical nodes where multiple replies or multiple nodes giving different outputs are merged together into one single block of output. That is what we call a merge node. A very simple layman example of using merge node is Instagram's carousel post. What's a carousel post? We all know there are three kinds of posts on Instagram. I'm just trying to make it very layman language. It's pretty much like you have one post, one simple photo, or a reel, or a post where you have multiple photos and you possibly swipe to get through that. So that's a carousel post. Whenever a carousel post is happening through an automation, where this n8n will do carousel post for you every day at maybe at a webhook or maybe at a scheduled time or maybe as an app event. In this case, it will create different media containers which should be merged into one post. It is basically talking like आपने 5 photos upload करना चाहा. There were 5 different photos which were not 5 different posts but one single carousel. So the merge node comes in. It takes all these 5 outputs and makes it into one output. So that is the function of merge. All these 5 different photos go to this merge node and comes out as one single post. Before we wrap up today's class, I will also show you how to make this automation and how to read what is happening on the screen. So by the end of today, if you are here with me, you would be learning 2 things. Firstly, we will tell you how to make a real live WhatsApp automation. And secondly, you will be knowing how to make an Instagram post based on a schedule trigger every day. And the next logic node that we will talk about would be the function node. You see this written function bracket JS. What is JS? Why is it there? So basically, function node will have 2 different types. One is function node where code is written in Python, and the second when the code is written in JSON. Very hefty words, but very simple to understand. Python, again a coding language. Java, again a coding language. What is Python? Python is also a programming language. What is JSON? JSON is a simplified programming language that comes direct from Java. So Python is a lot of work and knowledge. JSON is basically a mixture of Java and the human language. So it is very, very easy for you to at least read it. To write it, just like we were talking in the last class, we had our custom GPT, which I told you about, to have an assistance in n8n. So whenever you have a thought and you want to convert it into a JSON code, we just go to that custom GPT and write, this is my thought and I want to put it on a function node. It will give you direct copy of that JSON file. You can just copy that, paste it on the node, and it will work for you very smooth. The next set of nodes that you see here is the integration nodes. The integration nodes are basically talking about the direct apps that are involved as a node on n8n. What basics app do we have out here? We have WhatsApp node, we have Telegram node, we have weather nodes for many different weather information providers. We have email node from Gmail and other email providers. So these are all the integrations. As the words say, that you don't have to think about how will n8n talk to my Gmail or how will n8n talk to my WhatsApp. It is all through these app integrations. Now would you say no? Now you would think that what if you are using certain app and it has no integration with n8n? To be honest, there was a time when n8n did not have any integration with WhatsApp, did not have any integration with Instagram. So what to do if there is an app which does not have an integration set up with n8n already? We get to the code node, the HTTP node. The HTTP node is considered the most supreme form of node in the world of automation. What does an HTTP node does? HTTP node fills up the gap that is happened on it. HTTP node fills up the gap that would happen if there is no app integration available with n8n. To be honest, it was just a few months ago that WhatsApp did not have any kind of integration with n8n. At that time, it was the HTTP node that made n8n or the other nodes talk to WhatsApp. Similarly, for Instagram, there was no particular thing, no particular integration, no particular node that could handle it. For all those cases where there are no integrations, HTTP node comes out as the core node for you to connect to every of the place that you can think about using your n8n automations. This core node, this HTTP node, is possibly the strongest node which makes the world of possibilities real on n8n.